Injury report, we're going to look at it a little differently. They've seen Deshaun Watson now be injured for about a month. You've had about a month now to look at Jameis Winston. Have you seen enough to say, let's go with him next year?
I want to still see continuation of the good. He's capable. So when you talk about next year, you're talking about if you have to bring in someone young. And you know, in the draft and mold him, that's not ready yet. So you might have to have a veteran quarterback like Winston. But in the same side, you look at the yards he's putting up. He could throw the ball. It's not his fault when you're talking about him losing games like last week, when you put up 300-something, almost 400 yards passing, and you don't score. That's not your quarterback. You're putting up all those points in the middle of those wasn't trash time receptions or trash time, receiving yards. Those were in the mix of it. He put up 300 yards. So if you continually see this quarterback put up big numbers, I think you have to take a serious thought. And if they equal wins as well, if they start to, if they lose a game here, but they keep winning, and it's because of your quarterback's play, whether it's with his feet and with his intelligence, making good decisions, then he makes a case for himself.
You take a guy like Jameis Winston, and even though he's been in the league a long time, and everyone kind of puts a tag on guys as their career goes on. But if you put a good offensive line, and you got Nick Chubb who's going to come back healthy next year, and if you can figure all that stuff out with all the receivers and get it figured out, he can play and win 10, 12 games for you in the National Football League and win big games. It's just a matter of who's in the right place at the right time. He has the ability. He can throw for 300 or 400 yards. So the rest of it is putting it all together. Now, he's an interesting character. I love hearing him. But I know you got some guys that go, will he ever shut up? but most guys enjoy guys that have that kind of enthusiasm about it when it's low and when it's high. He stays the same. We're capable. God watches over us. We're going to play tough football. And most men want to be a part of winning attitudes, and that's what he has.
You know what you have in Jameis, but he keeps adding something when he wins games like that. You know he's a good player's guy. You know he's going to motivate your team. But if he consistently wins for you, that changes your perspective.
Yes.
You know he's a good backup. A lot of people feel like, oh, Jameis is not your future. But if he keeps winning for you, he's younger than Flacco. He's a viable candidate to come in next year and say, you know what, we got better pieces around him, like you said. Let's see what we look like starting fresh with a Jameis Winston in this season with this team.
Let me ask you something. You see some of his speeches and his antics, and there's a fine line between it being fun and guys love it, and it's hokey and it loses the guys. Is that fine line simply whether or not they're winning games? Or is that an act, even if they're winning, do guys start to be like, come on, man?
Okay, let me answer this first. That's who Jameis is. So it's not something that just started because they're winning games. That's who he is. So it's not like we're saying, oh, man, here goes somebody faking. He's like a coach out there. I peg him as a good coach when he hangs up his cleats. He's motivating, he's getting you ready to play regardless, and you want to hear a positive voice before you go out there and play a gladiator sport. I don't ever think that when he speaks motivation and positivity that it's hokey. That's who he is. It ain't like he just fell off, woke up one day, and he acting different. That's who he is as a person. You can lean on him before you go into battle, and I enjoy it.
So he sounds like a man of faith who believes in what he believes in, and he goes off that, and that's what inspires him to play good football. I noticed that when they played the Saints and he was there for 4 years, nearly every guy paid respect to him.
Yeah.
And that's actually the test of what kind of guy you are, is that locker room respects you. And if the league respects him, it is what it is.